Nobody does it better.
Under God, indivisible, with liberty.
Was it already on here and you're going to elaborate, or was it new?
Can we add recreation board and building maintenance? Unless you just want to do it in communications.
Well, that's what I couldn't remember what it was. Let's put the rec board under communications. It doesn't really have to be numbered in communications anyway.
Yeah.
I guess you said that. Yeah, 10A, I guess. You must have been really good at outlines in school.
And was there one other?
Building maintenance, it's just kind of a board discussion, so it would
Right.
be 19.
19, board.
You know, we've been talking about stuff, just kind of get a
Yep.
wrap up and round up of everything we think is going on right now. That's all I know.
Right. Then how about a motion to accept the agenda as amended? Okay, I guess I'll make the motion. He's just asking for one, but that's all right. You can put it down and I'll make the motion to approve the board meeting as amended.
Attorney was for, I'm confused, and that's why I voted no. And I don't believe this board should approve any expenditures for that expense.
Who is going to submit that?
I have no idea.
Oh, great. Okay.
Is that C as in SEA?
Yes. Those shipping containers.
Well, I've heard them called shipping containers, cargo containers, so I didn't
Yeah.
know for sure
A
what
lot
they
of
were.
different names for them.
Just so you
For
know,
this
last
one.
week you got a permit to install 2 of them.
Yep. Because we had nothing on the books governing them.
So, do we want to make a motion that we investigate this and stop any attorney contact regarding that?
Well, it was my understanding that there was only 2 individuals on this board, the board of trustees, that could contact the township attorney. And there was no exception for the chairman of the planning commission.
The Michigan state law gives the chairperson
That's what I thought.
authority to contact the attorney regarding planning commission.
Well, that is not what the document that's signed by you, Liz, regarding the township supervisor and clerk.
Because that's governing the board's contact. The planning commission contact is governed by state statute. Now, I did not sign that.
Again, we control the funds, not the planning commission.
Or the Michigan state legislature, is what you're saying.
I don't know who's contacted who.
I don't either. I'm just saying the planning commission chair has the authority to contact the attorney under Michigan state statute.
And we have the
regarding
authority
planning
to not pay the bills.
I will contact Megan.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. On to 10A, Recreation Board Communications.
So there's a new program that the school has adopted, it's called Address Confidentiality Program. So if somebody signs up for a sporting event, they don't have to list their address. At first, they had, Cheryl had talked about, because there's no way to assign them to a township if they're participating, possibly charging them the non-participating fee, which is a little higher. The board kind of discussed it at the last meeting and had decided that if we ever come across that we would use scholarship funds for that child, because clearly they would be in a bad situation instead of trying to come up with the extra money. And then we are currently, our 7th and 8th graders are currently in the Off-Hang Football League. Coming into this season, we have 2 football teams for that age group. And there's either 2 or 3 other school districts that are gonna stick with Off-Hang. Everybody else is moving to Mid-Michigan Middle School League. Cheryl is going to have pricing for us on switching it. It'll be Wednesdays at like 4:30 games and 5:30 games, so busing would be involved. So depending, and they will have a gate fee where Offing doesn't charge a gate fee, so they're thinking the gate fees will offset the busing cost. If the price is a huge difference, it'll be brought before the 5 boards before any decisions are made, just so that you guys have it, know what, if next month, if we have numbers for you
When does it have to be decided?
soon,
Oh.
else they won't be able to play football.
That's what I wondered, if you had time before the season starts.
Yeah, well, they don't even start practice until August, and I think it's September that they start, so there's plenty of time. In, like, all of our jerseys and equipment that have already been ordered will still be the same. It'll just be switching from league to league. Otherwise, they'll have two, right now there's 3, but one of the 3 other schools thinks they're gonna switch too. So that would leave one of our team and 2 other teams for the 8-week season, which would be kind of boring.
They wouldn't be playing against anybody but the people in, okay.
The address confidentiality thing, is that implemented now?
It is.
So how do we know who's participating and who's not participating?
They have to submit forms starting at the central office, and it goes into the school program, and then they're deemed on a list. We've never had one, but it was brought to the attention that we should have some kind of plan in place at the recreation level in case a child is in that situation, that, so that their address isn't listed anywhere.
And you said that the board decided to cover the cost of the child with scholarship fees, since none of the townships would know if it was their child. So it
Yes.
really isn't relevant, it's
Well,
just
just so you
protecting
guys
the,
know.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
just protecting the child, it's not changing our budget.
Correct.
As far as percentages of participation, how do you know if you don't have an address?
That's why it's not gonna be linked to a township.
It's not going to be linked to any township, so how do we know the percentage of participation for the calculation of the expenditure?
They'll be listed as a non-participating township, and the difference between participating and non-participating will be covered by the scholarship fund. Is the only way to track it without putting an address in there.
You see my point?
The child will still be counted as a participant, just in the non-participating, just the expense of, say, participating is 50 and non-participating is 75, $25. The difference of $25 will come out of the scholarship fund.
But you still don't have an address of a participant.
That's why they're not being billed to any township.
You're not going to, at all?
No.
Oh, all right.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, on to unfinished business, item 11, code of conduct. Anything on that? There was nothing in the packet.
I think it was on our last,
There was.
Yeah, it's not last month. so
No,
it's not
we
this
didn't
month.
And there was nothing in the,
So why is it here?
it was added into the information to be included in the packet, but the file was empty.
All right, moving on.
Okay? On to item 12, drain commission meeting. This one's me. Last Thursday, we had an informational meeting here at the township for sharp drain. We had 3 residents that attended the meeting. There was questions answered. Ken Recker was here and explained to everyone that attended what the purpose of this was. Essentially, the drain for sharp drain is the same that was installed, if my memory serves me right, in 1919. There's been a couple of repairs, but they're just Band-Aids. It's in bad need of being redone. Ken had maps here, showed the 3 residents that did attend, what it all involved, properties that would be affected.
Is tile replacement or open cut of an existing tile? Or do you remember what it?
No, it's tile replacement.
They're going to go back to tile. It won't
No,
be-
it's not clay tile. And he explained it's some type of PVC hybrid.
Yeah, I forgot to go to company meeting, so.
Yeah. But it was asked because there's 2 ways that the drain commission will move forward on this. One is by petition of residents, and there needs to be a minimum of 5 that sign the petition. Husband and wife can both sign and be considered two separate signatures if they're both on the deed. Or the township can petition the drain commission to just go ahead and move forward. Everybody that was here walked out of the meeting and nobody signed the petition. Nobody disagreed with what was going on, but nobody signed the petition. So I talked to Ken afterwards, and I would myself prefer that this go forward with the petition from the residents. So Ken showed me the properties that would be most affected by this and who have already had some issues with the disrepair of the sharp drain. And I was just gonna go and talk to the residents and see if I can get 5 signatures and submit it and move forward. So that would be the first phase of getting this started, would be the petition to the Drain Commission. Then they move on to the study phase, which is validating the petition, investigating the drain, looking at the both the Livingston County Drain Commission and a consultant, which would take a few months. Then it will move forward to the administrative phase, which is the Board of Determination would meet to determine if it's absolutely necessary or it's not necessary. If the board determines that it's not necessary, the project stops. Otherwise, they move forward. That will take a few months. Then moves on to the engineering phase and finally into the construction phase. So it would probably be a couple of years for this whole thing to come to completion. So.
Didn't we, I thought the part of us moving forward was we voted to move forward with these drains that the Drain Commission recommended and committed ARPA funds to it. That no longer applies?
Oh, yes, it does.
But you're saying only if the petition, if the residents' petition move forward? I thought we were going on the Drain Commission's recommendation that this stuff needed to be done. And we can't wait 2 or 3 years to spend ARPA money.
No. If no, because right now it's May of 2023. If this moves forward and the money is appropriated by the end of next year and spent by December 31st of 2026, we're in compliance.
Okay, I thought we proceeded on the recommendation of the
I remember
drain.
discussion, but I forget exactly what the outcome was of that. I know we talked about doing those
We
drains.
moved
Yeah.
to do them and
Yeah.
to use ARPA funds, so I didn't know we were waiting for any other thing. I thought we were just going through the process, the public hearing, and moving forward.
Well, the informational meeting, Ken said, is the first thing, which was held.
So,
Oh, I thought that was a public hearing, it was just an informational.
Right.
Okay, sorry. We didn't have any information on it last month, so that's why we.
Like I told Kevin, this is my first
Yeah,
rodeo on this.
Right,
I've never done this
me
before.
too, so I was just
Yeah.
trying to understand.
but you had to send notice to all the affected
The
landowners.
drain
Drain
commission, it's
commission.
not
Drain
ours, we
commission,
just hosted
yeah.
it, it had nothing to do with
Right.
us.
I was here, Roy and I were here on Monday night, and I was surprised by the lack of interest. Because how many homes are affected by that? It's between Chase Lake and Allen Road.
38,
on
39?
I was gonna say almost 40.
Yeah.
And when we walked in, I think there were 5, and then Roy and I, there were 7.
There was 5 people, 3
Yeah.
properties represented.
Three
But-
properties,
But
properties that weren't, yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, that was identified by the Drain Commission as the worst one, and that's why we.
Yes, letter went out to every affected property, but only 3 property owners showed up.
That's why I didn't think we were letting them decide, because the drain commission is the experts. People, I know when I used to be on a county drain, I didn't know what that meant or anything,
Right.
you know, it didn't mean anything to me, it just was on my tax bill. So, I mean, they get the letter, but they still might not even really realize what it's about. If the drain commission met with us and deemed that it was necessary, I thought we were moving forward. And you're saying you don't want to.
Discussion
We
was
do,
made at
we
least
do have,
assessment.
there are 2 options. Either the property owners petition the drain commission, or the local municipality can petition.
And you said you wanted the property owners to petition.
I would like to pursue that. It would only take me, I could probably have that done by this weekend. I need 5 signatures. And then the property owners, the petition is then valid and the drain commission can move forward.
Well, maybe the people are misunderstanding what has to take place, but you had the petition there, but maybe they're thinking it's already done because of what the motion that we had made at a previous meeting, so maybe there's confusion on the people's
Maybe,
side.
but Ken explained, and he had these sitting on the table, he said, you know, property owners can sign, and everybody walked out of the meeting.
Understood.
Did you understand, because you didn't sign, does it, I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
It doesn't affect
We're
them.
not affected.
Oh, you were just there?
We just came.
Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood that.
And they were talking about assessment and stuff, and I don't know what they were notified, what their notice was, that it was going to be, to hear what the assessment was going to be on their properties. Because that was discussed too, right, Bill? They talked
Well,
about the
they
assessment?
discussed potential numbers. Like they said, this was an informational thing, and Ken did give some, budget numbers. But until this project actually moves forward, nothing can be firm.
Right.
Because that means that they're moving forward. He said the approximate cost, in total would be somewhere around $200,000.
Which the county pays some, we pay some, and the residents pay some.
Each resident was going to be assessed what?
Well, he did give, well, the people that asked questions, he had specific numbers for anyone that asked, any particular property owner, because it's based on the amount of property that's affected.
Yeah.
So it's not a flat rate for every property on there, it's how much property that they have that would be affected by this drain. So it's hard at this stage to quote a hard number. Ken gave-
I didn't see the letter that went out, so I don't know if there was a description of really what that meeting was going to be about and how.
Yeah, I didn't
I was
see
shocked
that.
to see that there wasn't more interest. If, you know, if I.
Well, Ken was too.
I just, you know, when I saw that it was about the drain, and I know the flooding that happened down on Rob Road and Chase just a couple weeks ago was horrific down there.
Yep, oh yeah. I've
So,
seen it
you know,
myself.
we live over on Wausau Road, the next section over, and, but we were just interested to come to hear, you know, what they're proposing, so.
Mhm.
If the residents
So-
sign, do you still have to use ARPA funds?
We don't, are choosing to, we always have to pay.
One way or another?
Right, this particular set of drains that they brought to us, the county's willing to kick in some of their ARPA funds to reduce the cost to the residents and us. So it's a cost savings, and we chose that we would use our ARPA funds towards it rather than our general fund.
So would it be fair to say that the residents really don't know what it's gonna cost them? Because we're talking township money, county money, then we're talking county ARPA and township ARPA. So how do they really know?
The money that was in our, or the numbers in our packet included all that. The amount assessed to the residents is a percentage, it's not,
Goes by
They're
area,
re-
goes
they're
by area of
reducing-
land that drains into that.
but I mean, they're reducing the township, the drains at large portion by kicking in our
No,
funds on the
it's
county.
gonna drop it, I get it, but they
It's not-
still don't know.
I don't
They
think
still
it's
don't
gonna
know what it
change
is.
the residents so much
Okay, let me
as
address
us.
this, maybe I can very quickly
Go ahead.
answer the question. So the total cost of this project is about $200,000. With the county's ARPA money, reduces the total to about $125,000.
Okay,
The bill to the township would be approximately $31,250. And the balance of that would be about $50,000, which would be split amongst the residents.
I don't think the county usually kicks in that part they're doing in the ARPA. Normally, it's just, they bill us our percent and the residents, correct?
No,
Even when they're not
the
using
Board of
ARPA
Commissioners
funds?
is appropriating their ARPA money to
That-
reduce the total cost.
Right, I said normally,
No.
if they weren't using ARPA funds, the county would not be kicking in anything. So it's more reducing our portion.
Correct.
It's in the drains at large township portion that the county is reducing, is the way I understood
No,
it.
the county always does.
Oh, do they? Okay. But, because he said we're gonna, if you will do this, we'll kick in extra money and it'll save you money in the long run.
Right.
That's how it was presented at the meeting.
So, and as far as the residents knowing, so we got the petition phase, which we're in right now, then the study phase, the administrative phase, engineering phase, and once the engineering, we're set to go, there will be another public meeting announced to the residents, probably a public hearing.
is that a public hearing?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It says public meeting to review cost and assessments. It's called a day of review, which anyone can attend that and get the actual cost of their assessment.
That'll be the one that they pay attention to.
Yeah.
I
So
hope-
I would like to see if I can get the petitions. I should have that done by this weekend. Probably a good time to get the people up. Everybody home, and hopefully I can get this submitted to the Drain Commission and move on.
Were you there?
Yes, I was.
Was it made clear about the signing the petition?
As far as I know, I mean, Kent stated it and said the petitions were laying there on the table, which is on the side of the room, and said we need 5 signatures, but everyone walked out of the meeting and nobody signed it.
Okay.
Because like everything else, I think somebody else will do it.
Yeah.
Or maybe they weren't the residents.
So hopefully it's something that takes me about a half hour.
Or they, respectfully now, they didn't understand what the petition was or what it means when they sign it, okay? Who likes to sign things they don't know what they are,
Yeah.
okay? And I'm being respectful when I make that statement.
You guys are referencing the sharp green, and I'm just kind of looking at a map, and there's no sharp green on there. Is it a number?
Is it Rob and Chase Wood?
No, it's just
It's
sharp
called the
drain.
sharp drain.
Yeah, it is, it borders Robb and Chase Lake, goes south on Robb, south of Chase Lake on Robb.
Okay, because on the Livingston County site, it doesn't reference the sharp drains.
It's on the south of Chase Lake on the west side of Rob.
It just gives them numbers.
If you're curious,
There's a drain map.
I've got a drain map,
There's
I'll
one
check
in
it out.
I've got a
Conway,
few
too.
copies, so,
I'll check it out at the end.
okay.
Thank you.
So, other than that, I'll do my thing and you guys move onward.
I'm good with it.
Okay. On to new business. And first item, new item 13, is the ARPA expenditures.
So I had sent this in to be in the packet, but it got missed. When we did those listed, when we installed and did those listed items, it was talked about that they were gonna be ARPA related, but when I went to file the paperwork, it wasn't specified. So we either can acknowledge now that they are to be ARPA expenses or not, and they'll just stay as coming out of the general fund if we don't take them out of ARPA.
I thought we had already voted on this, because I've seen these numbers, but
But we couldn't find anything in the minutes the motions that said that, so just to cover ourselves,
so you're.
I'm moving that we acknowledge that those 3 expenditures come out of our funds.
And what are?
Oh,
Pro Brothers, the windows in here will replace the security screening on all the windows in the building and the countertop screen that was put in when COVID was going on.
So this is money that we've already spent?
Yes.
correct.
And it's been paid for out of the general fund, but we were going to transfer it from the ARPA fund, we reimbursed the general fund, but we couldn't find in the minutes specific language in the motions because they,
I know it wasn't there, but somehow it got missed. So you're.
well, we
you're all-
probably discussed it, but when someone stated the motion, it didn't. So I'm just asking if I'm gonna move, and if someone supports and we vote on it, we'll just transfer the money from the ARPA fund to reimburse the general fund for these expenditures. We have done other things out of ARPA, but these 3, I couldn't find any clear documentation to be able to add it to our report of money we'd expended
So
from ARPA.
the ARPA fund, that's meant to be used for the actual township itself, or is it meant to be used for projects within the township?
Initially, there was 4 categories that the money was supposed to be spent on, and then as a few months went on, the federal government broadened it essentially to any type of infrastructure expense, and then a couple more months went by, and they said, you can spend it on anything.
These expenditures, replacing the windows was supposed to have happened. We did half the building, not the other half. And then the 5-star window security film and the window at the counter resulted because of ARPA and security issues and upgrading. And then it didn't make any sense to put security film on the old windows, so we had to replace
So essentially, they
So-
fell into the first.
Yeah, it fell
category.
under the infrastructure. It's
Yeah.
supposed to, you can use it for a lot of things. We could build a park, we could do all kinds of things. But these were things that a year ago or more were discussed, and they were to be paid for on ARPA, but I couldn't find actual documentation. Every year I have to file a report that tells what we've expended it on. And I couldn't include those because I didn't have a clear path. It was talked about, it was intended, but it was never stated.
Right.
But yes, the money's been spent. If we don't approve these, there's still, the money's spent, it's just not gonna, it's gonna stay from the general fund and not come out of the ARPA fund.
So by rights, we should have a support for that discussion, but so I will offer my support on that motion.
And now we'll discuss it, everything I said a few minutes ago.
Did a little backwards, but that's all right. So that motion is support, if anyone else has anything else.
We're not actually spending money, we've already spent it, so we don't need a roll call. Unless you want.
So, with that being said, all in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No,
Motion passed. Next, the cemetery ordinance revision and resolution.
The committee went through and tweaked a couple things that came up over the last few years with residents about the ordinance. The changes are there, and you guys saw them in the packet. They were pretty minor, just some language and stuff. So what we really need to do is if you have questions, discuss it, and then I'll offer the resolution to adopt the amendment.
Yeah, no, I read through it, and I actually seen the, the red, changes, and yeah, you're right, it is very minor.
There was some question at different times with people about what was meant by this or that, or what they could or couldn't do, and so, and like in section 5C, it says alter the foregoing fees, but the fees aren't listed until after, so that was one of the minor changes. There's just some cleaning up of language. It's nothing substantive that is controversial in any way. There was some issue with the cleanup last year about what people didn't think things should have been removed, but it's clearly spelled out. They have to be removed or they'll be disposed of. And as you see, we added the shepherd hooks because they were understood but not specified, so it was a lot of that kind of stuff. And again, I'll offer the resolution if there aren't any other questions.
Not by me.
So we need a second.
I'll second.
We need a roll
Bill Grubb,
Yes.
Witt,
Yes.
Debbie Grubb,
Yes.
Bushies,
no,
at Crampton Atherton.
Yes.
The resolution has been adopted. Next, fee schedule update.
Same thing, discussed with the zoning administrator and the different departments that have fees on here. Research, we do this, we should do it every year, we don't always do it every year. Research surrounding townships to see what their fees are, and some are higher, some are lower. We felt we could combine and clean up some things. As you see, we moved solar energy permits and wind permits into renewable energy permits with the same escrow and a higher application fee for commercial.
should it be utility, not commercial?
We could change that, certainly, that's not a problem.
I think that would cause confusion.
That was just garbage in my language, so we can change that to utility. I said, we talked with the zoning administrator about some of them. Some of the escrows are new. In the past, we've lost money on special meetings and things, so we're just trying to tighten up. We calculated exactly what it costs as opposed to, maybe the numbers were accurate at one time, but then we've increased payroll, so we brought it up to speed with that. Change the word from residents to property owners we get a lot of calls from realtors and title companies that want us to do a bunch of research that they could do themselves. But the residents don't have to pay anything, it's their record, but the other people, the assessor has to do research, we charge them a $25 fee.
So instead of,
See where it says non-residents, when we change it to non-property.
You crossed out residents, so it's non-property owner.
Right, because it could be a rental, they don't have to be a resident, but the property owner has the right, and they can look stuff up online for free.
That's what I was gonna say, why don't they just do it to the county?
Well, they could, but they don't, they call and want us to do it for them. And Karen is the one that usually gets the brunt of them, and so if we tell them that they can get it online for $2 or they can give us $25, they usually opt to go online and get it. But we just wanted to make it clear that it was non-property owners, not non-residents, because just because you own property doesn't mean you live here. But
So you offered the motion that we adopt the updated fee schedule.
yes.
Their support?
I second.
Motion made and supported. Any other discussion? All in favor of adopting the new fee schedule? Say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No,
Fee schedule has been adopted.
Is the right column the new proposed?
the red,
The one says current, but the second one says, no, it doesn't have a title. Is that that's what you're proposing it goes to?
No, those are the escrow amounts.
Oh, that whole column's out?
Yes.
Okay.
So if it's red, there wasn't an escrow in there before. In the other, it's, the red is on the left column. The red is proposed, but the whole right column is escrows.
Thank you.
Which of course gets refunded when it's not spent.
Okay.
That's why it's separate.
Okay. On to item 16, which says computer replacement. I believe that's yours, right?
Yes, my computer has been acting up for quite a while, and IT's been trying to figure out what's wrong, and they came to the conclusion it's one of the older ones, and they can reset it, redo everything, and it's still gonna be old, and it's probably gonna cost the same or more money than replacing it. So, I submitted a request to replace it. I think Deb's will be next on this rotation unless something else happens, because we got ours around at the same time. We bought several at the same time, then we bought others, and they were kind of on a 5 to 7 year rotation of obsolescence. And so I was just submitting the quote to get mine replaced. And I think I don't see it in here.
I don't know. I don't see the quote. What was it?
Oh,
Out of curiosity.
because I see retention pond quotes, which I didn't even know were in there, and we're going to be in there. I thought we were still collecting them.
I just have that as a discussion item, and I had them, so I threw them in there.
Okay, let me pull it up. I emailed it, but maybe it's around, I don't remember. I want to say it's around 1,800 and with 14, we just spent 1,400 on a planning commission laptop, but let me pull it up.
It's got to be done anyway.
Right, and so I apologize, I thought it was in there. I thought I had sent it to you.
While you're looking at that, or looking for that, has there been any discussion with them as far as replacement of the server?
Yes, I have a quote, but I'm waiting for other people to give me quotes, so
Okay. Not a problem.
I'm kind of stuck right now waiting for that.
Because I remember a year ago, I was told by NetSmart that we were living on borrowed time.
Right, and I do have a quote to replace it. But I was waiting until I got them all.
for expediency's sake, that I make a motion that Liz gets her computer replaced as long as the cost doesn't exceed $2,500.
I'll support that.
You're talking about your computer in the office.
Correct.
Actually, it's gonna be, yeah, because right now I have a laptop and a desktop. They're gonna just, this is the desktop that needs to be replaced. They're gonna replace it with a laptop with a docking station. So I'll only have one, not two. Because my laptop is the oldest one in the place. And then we can keep using it for elections like we do now. It wasn't bought specifically for the clerk like the other ones were. It's used for cemetery elections, all different things. I thought I found it in
So did I hear you supported
Yes, I did.
the original motion?
my,
Okay, so I got a motion to support. Any discussion? Roll call.
DeGrove,
Yes.
Bushies,
No,
Crampton, Atherton,
No,
Witt,
yes.
W. Grub.
Yes. Got that taken care of. 16A, the next item on the agenda, which is this road for Secluded Acres. So going back to this discussion I had on the phone with the attorney late this afternoon,
which attorneys?
just said that she was representing a resident.
Oh, okay.
And, because all of a sudden, you know, she identified herself as an attorney, started asking a bunch of questions, and I said, you know, where are you coming from? In other words, who is paying your bill? And she just said she was representing a resident. And she asked a few questions as far as, you know, where the township was at, and I just gave her a history. Nothing other than what was already known as far as the minutes and that. And her suggestion was, you know, the resident is saying the road is essentially, you know, crumbling, depreciating his property value. And her thought was that the board take this up. What Don presented is that there's possibly some items in our zoning ordinance that may direct the board to take some sort of action on this. I don't know, it's above my pay grade.
I think you'd have to go back and find out what the actual ordinance was that was in effect at the time that private road was put in. You can't use the current one. You have to go back to the one that was in place at that time.
It shouldn't be hard to do.
I'm just saying, you
Yeah.
can't use the current ordinance. That's something that's 20 years old.
Do I get to speak during this?
No,
No, okay.
Well,
and the last time I remember, the Secluded Acres came here regarding a special assessment district, and there was no conclusive
right,
determination by what they wanted to
the
do.
last decision from the board was, you know, asking the homeowners association to come back to us with a
We
new
denied the
a current
request.
bid.
They
And
dropped it, I thought. Did we deny or did they withdraw?
I thought we denied.
Yeah.
Well, either
It
way,
doesn't
either way, it didn't
matter. It
go
doesn't
through.
matter.
Because the bids were old, the
Yeah.
petition was
But we
6
were-
months old.
I thought it was spoken of in that meeting that we were waiting on the residents of that Secluded Acres, which has a deed restrictions and covenants
Mhm.
with that private road, okay? That for them to come back with their proposal of what they wanted to do, and we're
With the
still
new,
waiting.
with the new petition and a current, at least one current bid.
Correct.
Which has not been done, which is why I didn't want to add it to the agenda, because it's,
It's my understanding it's their determination what they want to do, and then we disperse funds if we so choose. It's not up to us to tell them what they want to do with a private road. It's the only thing we do is the special assessment district, that's it.
Yeah.
Right. But there's some language from what I'm reading in the ordinance,
But are
that
you
places
reading
some
the-
ownership. Yeah, you're right.
You're
It
reading
might be
the
the
current one,
I'm-
you can't read that one, you gotta go back to what was original.
What was in place at the time the application
Yeah,
was
you
made.
can't look at the new.
So I'll have to see if I can lay my hands on that and do a little research and
You have to go back to the minutes of the approval and what was in place at that time.
That 2001?
Yeah. And I know there's been revisions since.
But the builder would have had to have complied to what was in 2001.
Not necessarily.
Well, how does he
It
comply with
wasn't
something?
enforced.
But how does he comply with something now that when he built it, you know what? He can't. There's no way for him to know what's gonna happen 20 years
It
later.
didn't comply with the original.
I'm not arguing, I'm just
No, I
saying.
know, I'm just saying.
You can't use the current ordinance on something that happened 20 years ago. That's all I'm saying.
This attorney also brought up, which was we argued when the association first petitioned the board, was they thought there was some kind of document that had been signed off on by the previous supervisor,
And that
saying
was,
the road had been completed, but nobody has been able to produce
That was-
that document.
Yeah, that
Very
was
big
alleged,
issue.
but it was alleged but never proven.
okay, all right. And that's true.
You know, documents, and the one, the former president said he had that document.
Yeah, and it got rather heated.
He refused to produce it even when I approached him separately
Oh,
later.
yeah, I had a couple of conversations with him.
Because he had told me he would produce it, then he didn't, he said in the meeting he wouldn't.
And we have no document like that in the township. Okay. All right. Moving on. 16B, Conway Land. Yeah, Conway Land Company versus the township.
So y'all got the email from the attorney asking us to pick a date to attend mediation, and took me a while to figure out what the calendar was about.
Now, is this a date, this is a date for all of us to attend?
No, only 2 people can attend, there can't be a quorum,
No, okay.
so they want 2 people to attend, and I want the board to decide who that's going to be, because I'm not going to attend without permission. I don't necessarily want to attend anyway. I do not quite understand this calendar, but I'm printed in color because I'm taking it to mean that this attorney is proposing the yellow is the dates that they're available and we can choose from.
The X's mean they're not available.
Correct, that's how I read it. When I first printed it, it was not in color and I was like, what does this mean? But then I printed it out in color so everyone could see. And they asked me why we hadn't done anything yet, and I said we had a meeting tonight.
It's not on these papers, but one that I had read that they were asking, somebody was petitioning all the board members and some of the planning commission members.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's on the.
Oh, that was a list of
That was the
witnesses.
list.
That was just a list of witnesses if we go to court.
Right.
This is mediation. The judge sent it to mediation.
So what is the board deeming appropriate? We should do.
Well, and what I don't know how to figure out, is who goes, fine, we can decide, but then they don't have any power, they would have to come back, and the attorney from Foster Swift they switched attorneys on us. The one on record is still the same, but the person who's actually doing it isn't, and they haven't communicated very well with us. I don't know if the representatives are supposed to be making decisions on behalf of the board, because if you go to mediation and you have to pay a mediator, what's the point if you don't have any power to negotiate? And to me, that doesn't seem like that's how it works for us. We can't just, 2 of us can't just decide what we're gonna do. So I guess what I understand it is 2 volunteers can go and represent the township and get information, but it's gonna have to come back to a closed session with the attorney to discuss what we're gonna do. But not having ever been in mediation before, I don't exactly know how it works.
This doesn't say anything about mediation. The only thing it says is facilitation.
Well, the email I sent you says from the attorney that the judge sent it to mediation. That's who this facilitator is.
Okay.
And I keep saying go to, but it's a Zoom thing. It's not, like you don't physically have to go somewhere.
They're just
All
asking.
parties recognize that facilitation is a voluntary process, and the facilitator is not a judge and has no authority to force a settlement on the parties.
And the facilitator, I'm sorry, they said mediation in the email, but is asking that a confidential statement be submitted a week before facilitation. We don't have one. The attorney, we haven't even met with him since the beginning.
Motion to contact the township attorney related to this event and for further discussion.
The township attorney or
No, the township attorney that's addressing this
that's the
issue
insurance company, not our attorney.
still represents the township.
Right, but I just wanted to clarify which attorney.
It's the attorney that's on this letter.
Okay. So the motion is what
For
specifically?
Bill Grubb to contact the attorney related to this matter and clarify the letter.
Contact the person in the email. It was Brandon Schumacher, now I forgot the other person's name, but Tom Maher has never spoke to anybody.
Yeah, but his name's always been on this.
Yeah, he always does the power plans council of record, but he doesn't work on the
So
cases.
Brandon was the guy that came.
But
and
not,
spoke
yes,
to
but now
us.
Brandon passed this off to somebody else that's in the email. That's who the email
Okay.
came from, so just read the email.
I'll call tomorrow.
Support.
So the motion for me to contact Foster and Swift regarding this and get some more clarification has been motioned and supported.
As you see, it's, sorry, $300 an hour, and we really don't know what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. So all in favor of me contacting the attorney, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Be done tomorrow. No. Finish my note. Okay. 16C, planners, Amy.
So we still do not have a planner for, once we ex-CBI. And I'm wondering when we should get another one in place. Yes, that's why I wrote it.
I thought we were gonna go back to CBI.
CIB.
That's our, that,
That's the
just
CIB.
for clarification, CIB, Community Image Builders.
I have no interest going back to that previous plan.
I do, and Michael Homier wants us to. He said we should have.
I've never heard that from Mr. Homier.
I'm telling you that
I-
I'm in favor of it, and he told
Who
me,
interviews the planners?
usually the planning commission, and then they give a recommendation to the
That
board.
didn't happen last time.
Yeah, they did. That's the only people that got
No,
interviewed.
planning commission.
Can we have?
I thought Carmine and somebody else was the only two that they or did you
And
interview?
planning commission.
I thought Bill
The
did.
planning commission.
Oh, I apologize.
Asked me as supervisor to look into choices.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought they
Yeah.
recommended it to you.
So, I mean, I don't care one way or another, but.
Can we have the planning commissioner and say, Bill, sit in on the interview together?
Well, if Bill interviewed him before, I was just incorrect. I thought they interviewed him and then told him recommendation. It was the other way around.
Yeah, so
Um,
I had sent emails out, made phone calls, I had 4 people that said they were interested. One kind of did a very brief phone interview, probably lasted less than 2 minutes. It was CIB that went into details and offered to do a Zoom meeting, and the various parties all joined in and seemed to be the most interested.
Didn't they come to a planning commission meeting? And maybe that's what I was thinking was they were. So I have no preference to,
Why did it take them so long to figure out ordinances?
it didn't. They had not had a lot of direction from the board on what we
From the
wanted.
planning board or from?
No, from us. Planning commission and the attorneys and the planners, there was just lack of focus, I guess. I didn't really know that much about it until I went into the citizen planner class and understand. So I don't think the board had always had kind of a hands-off approach. The planning
And
commission.
plus, this whole issue was so new to all of us.
Right, and so realistically, Sarah presented us with a list of recommendations, as you all know. only one is really viable other than CIB, and that's McKenna, and we don't even know, we haven't spoke to them officially. Somebody talked to them. Did you say at the conference?
I did speak to
Okay.
them, and I got a card on my desk. And they
They-
expressed interest.
They wrote our master plan, which people aren't happy with, but they've never actually worked for us. Carlisle Wortman is who we replaced with CIB because they can't attend our meetings, they have a conflict.
No.
The planner that would service our area, and we're too small.
Well, they did at that time, do they still have that same issue, or do they hire new planners? My understanding was they hired new planners.
I do not know
John's
that.
still working there.
Right, so I would say reach out to them and McKenna.
We were gonna fire them as soon as the master plan was written because they were so bad, and you can ask Mr. Bowden about that. It was supposed to happen.
What was the agreement between the firm and the township? Because I never saw the agreement, so there should have been repercussions.
Between what agreement? Who?
With the planner that we had, John Enos.
Oh, I don't know, I was not involved at that point.
So
like I
why
said.
didn't we review the contract?
Dennis, would you like to speak on this or not? Well, he was the planning commission chair and was
I'm not
involved.
blaming Dennis.
I'm not blaming him, and he's the most knowledgeable.
McKenna, and George will attest, was an absolute disaster.
Okay, see, I didn't know.
Because of when we had a large public hearing, 150 people or so, he made an absolute disaster out of that process.
But is he even still there?
So they were our planner.
Yes.
Abby didn't think she thought they just worked on the master plan, she didn't think they'd been our
Oh,
actual
no,
plan.
they were our
And then
planner.
Carlisle Wortman came after them.
And
And
then-
they were a disaster, from what I heard from everyone, from the minute I got here, everybody
Yeah.
complained about them.
We couldn't get them to finish it.
Right.
Delays.
Well, my point is I don't care what planner you pick, it goes back to the contractual agreement between the entity and that firm. Okay, you have to lay it all out in the contract. Okay, it's done on the forefront, not on the back end, it's at the beginning. Okay, so regardless of the planner that's hired, you gotta spell it all out.
Okay, none of us were involved in the
Yeah, do we have
previous
anything like that?
You were a CICB,
CIB. No, I know, I said, you're talking about Carlisle Wortman and
I'm
McKenna.
talking about CIB, the one we just got rid of.
Well, we shouldn't have done that, and I regret voting to do so.
I never saw the agreement with that firm, that was not brought to this board.
Okay, I'm not in charge of planning, so I don't know,
The agreements and the payments of the bills are.
I have I have bills, I have no agreement, and I asked the supervisor, and he has none. So he,
Would
I have the agreement.
No.
I just don't have a sign.
I asked him for a signed copy of the contract, and he didn't have one, because he was in charge of that, because he signs contracts.
Okay, it's old news, but we just cannot have open-ended contracts anymore.
We didn't, it's not an open-ended contract,
It
but
was on that one.
Bill signed a contract, and so did they. We approved the fee schedule
And
and the contract.
we didn't control the cost.
Correct. That's not what I'm talking about, though. I'm saying they had a contract. We, the board, didn't know what to expect because we hired them, and then the solar thing blew up as far as time and everything. We had budgeted, I think, $4,500 for the year for the planner, which was high from what previous years. And the very first bill was $7,000, and it just,
Well, it should have been a red flag at that point as well.
and it was sent out for approvals, and there's a whole big long history, but we can't change that. I'm saying they didn't do anything wrong, they lacked direction, and I think, and so does the attorney that everyone wanted us to hire to do the renewable energy, that they are the people we should have never fired and should bring.
I've never heard that, maybe you
Okay,
have,
I'll
I have
just
not.
make a motion, we contact CIB about reinstating our relationship and signing a new contract.
I'll support.
Oh, can I suggest?
Well, by rights, we should have a motion to support before.
Which you do now, so
Now.
that's why I made the motion, so we
Yeah.
can,
Why,
Make a
I
decision.
think that we should call a few other people, and
Oh, I have no issue with that.
I looked into Mark Idelson, land,
he's retiring.
oh,
I've done all this same research that everyone wants us to do again. I checked into everybody Sarah
Wait a minute,
recommended.
did you
Mark
talk-
Idelson was who I was gonna go to when we fired.
months ago.
Hold on, just hold on. So what did you say?
Oh, no, I didn't talk to him personally, I just called and talked to other townships.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
What, planning person they used,
Understood.
and a lot of them recommended this guy.
He would have been my go-to, but he's retiring. That's why I think we need to go back to
Does he
CIP.
recommend anybody?
I don't know, I didn't call him. Because the other townships that I talked to said they were looking for a new planner because he was retiring, so what was the point of calling him?
Well,
You might have a
Because
recommendation.
my recommendation from our attorney was to get CIB back.
So what I'll do
Can
is
I
I'll pull up-
respectfully add something? Is it possible?
So down.
In fairness, you added this to the agenda after the call to the public, which was supposed to be agenda items only, so I didn't come up. This is quick, so I won't take a lot of time, but Conway Board of Trustees, this is a follow-up to my email. Yesterday, I emailed the board a list of planners based on a discussion I had at the beginning of the year with attorney Mike Homier. I appreciate the responses received from the board and understand that not every planner listed would be a good fit for our township for various reasons. It has been mentioned by members of both the Planning Commission and this board that we should rehire our previous planner. I would advise against this determination. Something went wrong in that engagement. The planner either did not take the time to understand the need of their client, or our Planning Commission did not clearly articulate the needs of this rural community, specifically related to the solar ordinance. Either way, spending $36,613.75 in less than 12 months, and then receiving a draft ordinance that has been essentially scrapped, this community does not feel that it would be fiscally responsible to re-engage that same firm. I understand that the Planning Commission will be making a recommendation to the Board of Trustees on hiring a new firm, and I ask that you take this into consideration in making this decision. Re-engaging somebody that we terminated services for, there's other planners. Let's do some research. That's a ton of money to spend, and everyone can agree that that ordinance was subpar. Things were changed without motions of our own Planning Commission.
Now, I take exception that everyone can't agree with that, because not everyone has read all that detail and knows that, so they can take someone else's word for it, but I'll withdraw the motion.
There's people that have read that whole thing.
I didn't say it wasn't true. I said you can't say everyone can agree because not everyone even knows all the details.
I take that back.
That's all I was saying.
Most people can agree that that was a very subpar.
Well, and I'm trying to say that the board had more responsibility for that than the planning commission because the board was not engaged.
And the board is still not engaged, so what would be the change?
Go ahead, Bill.
I still have the list of when I worked on it before CIB was brought on.
Right.
Of all the planners in the area, I contacted other communities. I still have the list of all the firms that were recommended. I can run through that list again and ask for comment, for interests.
And if they're not interested, recommendations.
Correct.
Back to Amy's point, if she's got somebody, I understand he's retired, but maybe that he can recommend someone.
Sure.
Okay.
He was one of the people that was interviewed and it was a
So what I'll do is I'll
contender.
run through that list, I'll send the email out to everyone here, and we can either call a special meeting to bring somebody on board, or I'll leave that up to the board. So I'll just
Okay.
keep a report as to.
I want fee schedules.
We had a fee schedule last
I
time.
want fee schedules for any prospective land or planner, is what I'm looking for comparative.
The disconnect, and I'm not arguing in their favor, I'm saying they submitted us a fee schedule, we approved it, we bought it online. It was very different from what we were used to with Carlisle Wortman, and I tried to get someone who knew more about planning to review the invoices to make sure that what they were billing was appropriate, but no one would approve the invoices, and eventually after like 6 months I had to pay the people. And so there was a very different way of billing. In the past, I think we were billed hourly, it was like straight up, and they had a menu, like for this it's this, for this it's this, for this it's this. But the board approved that. And so it was, I'm saying, there's
There's things that have to be addressed on the front end regardless of what planner's hired.
That's not what I was going to say. I was going to say, there is responsibility for how things went on all sides. It does not entirely lie in their lap because they didn't get the kind of direction from us that they
Well,
should have, because
I reject
you're our
that because I
ex
sat
officio.
in those meetings. And when I pushed back with that planner, they were pushing back about a lot of the things that I had brought up, and even Kelly Rauco had brought up, okay? There was immense pushback. They're a planner, they're not a legal representative, all right? They are a planner, they're supposed to be listening to the issues, pro, con, and otherwise, the good, bad, and the ugly of any issue. And they did not do that.
Okay, but you're arguing a point that I'm not making.
I'm not sure what you're trying to make.
Because you're interrupting me. I'm trying to make the point that they were at the planning commission meetings, you are the board's representative. We were not communicated about these things until they were way down the road. And so by the time the board knew there was a problem.
You got the bills, right?
But I was not in the meetings and
You got the bills.
And I sent them out to you.
You got the bills, and I turned them down every meeting.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
They were emailed out for approval and no one would give me any response.
And when it came to the consent agenda, I always turn it down.
Okay, whatever. I withdrew the motion and I'm fine with whatever you want to do as far as go do your research, bring us bids or whatever, I'm good. But I'm just saying, the board relied on the ex officio representative to update us on things, and until I went to the citizen planner class, which is not my area at all, I didn't understand any of this stuff. So it's not any one person or group's fault that they were uneducated on planning, other than the people who have been doing it for 13 years or more.
And how I ended up getting involved in this in the first place was that it had nothing to do with solar. When I was asked to look into a new planner, the complaint that I was getting from the planning commission was that our current planner had missed many meetings, had been asked to make written recommendations on ordinance changes, and often took multiple months to return those to the planning commission, and they wanted somebody who would be more responsive.
And that was the extent of the communication we had received prior to
it.
that from the planning commission, because we
Right.
never got reports until the last 2 or 3 months.
So what?
So,
Well, you can't
If
blame
you're
everybody
that
else.
serious, Liz, you should attend these meetings, okay?
Do you attend all my election meetings?
No, I have no interest in your election.
But you think I should go to all the planning commission
Well,
meetings
you
to do
sound
your
like now
job?
you have an interest after this.
No, I'm
big-
trying to be engaged and be responsible.
I think this is
All
water.
right, that's fine, so Bill.
It's water under the bridge, let me do my thing, I'll communicate that and move forward. So that was 16C, we don't have 16D, so we're on to the retention bond cleanup. I included the 2 bids that we've received so far in the package just for reference.
What retention bond?
Right next to us.
Oh,
All the water from this property all flows this way, it comes across this way, and goes into
That
the
pond that's on
mess that's over there. When the road commission replaced the culvert on Fowlerville Road, that's right in front of the building, the drain commission came in and checked that out. Rob Quigley, who's one of the engineers, not an engineer, but supervisor, came into the hall and said he had looked at our retention pond, and he says, you're gonna have problems in the near future. Too many trees, it's getting plugged up. You really should look at getting that thing, cleaned up.
I see tree removal, but that's it. I don't
Okay.
see any riprap removal or addition, I don't see that.
So there's 2 estimates.
They're way far apart.
Yes, yes.
Can I explain?
That's why I
That's
didn't
why I
think
wanted
they
to-
should have been submitted, because I was gonna go back and get the detail from the other one to compare apples
This
to
is a
apples.
discussion, I wasn't making any motion.
Well,
I'd
okay, but it
just
shouldn't
like
have
to
been
know
in
where it's
here.
at.
It's just for discussion purposes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we're ready to move forward.
Well, Brandy's got a point to make.
So Esther's bid is for 15-foot circles around the 3 drains in the pond. What's the other company's name?
Kensington excavating.
Kensington is to dig up and retrench both of them. Both of them include removal of the riprap and replacement of it. Espers also, if we only want to do the 15-foot circles around the three, there's one at this side, one in the middle, and then the one that goes under the driveway. He will take, and make sure there's a clear path from the far end one and goes to that one, which is the one that drains across and into the ditch across the street. If you want Esper, so I just asked for that at first because I wasn't really sure what the board wanted to do. If you guys, they said eventually we will need to do the whole pond, which is what the other company bid for. So Esper said they'd be more than happy to give a full pond. Eppley's is also supposed to, but Eppley's wants to raise the grade of the pond and do all kinds of crazy stuff, so that one's still coming in. And Culver's hasn't met with us yet.
My contention was I was still working on the request for proposal, and she was meeting with people to figure out what should be done, and then we were gonna bring it to the board when we had apples to apples.
But if you guys would like to make a decision on whether you like the whole pond or the 15-foot, that way that the estimates can
I
look the
think,
same.
in my opinion, we should look at both options.
What was the outcome of the inspection of the drain tiles coming off the roof?
Hasn't been done yet.
Tomorrow night.
Oh, I thought you didn't.
That's why I said we aren't ready to do any of this.
No, that's fine, yeah.
Can I
Do you want both versions of the bid from Esper? He said he'd be more, Esper, he said he'd be more happy to submit both versions.
But I had other
Clear on-
contractors we were gonna meet with too and talk to,
Yeah.
and this was jumping the gun by,
Like I said, this just brings this issue to the board.
we discussed it last month, I guess, and you weren't here, because we already had a plan,
No,
and
you're
I
right.
didn't.
I can
I have
see,
a question. What is your name? It seems like you have a lot of information. Did you must work in the office? Okay, so you work in the office. And what is your name?
Randy.
Brandy?
The
Okay,
assessor's assistant.
the assessor's assistant.
I'm an election chair and a building maintenance helper around, she's a jack of all trades like we all are. That's
Yeah.
why we ask her a lot of questions, because she helps
Well,
out.
it seems like she knows a lot of the answers.
Well, because she helps me out with a lot of overload.
You know?
I don't want to sit up there.
No, you just want to sit up there, okay. But it seems like you have a lot of the answers. And,
I just made the phone calls, that's all. I don't have
okay.
answers.
But if you made the phone calls, you're getting all this great information, how come they don't have it?
Because it wasn't ready. to
Because we
be
weren't
submitted.
ready to present it until
Yeah.
we got thrown in.
I just wanted to know what's going on.
Well, then can we move on?
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe we should have discussed it.
So on to, since we got that cleared up, on to item 18, which is the accounting software.
We don't, okay, so, this is, I'm bringing something to everyone's awareness. Again, this isn't really for discussion, to a certain extent it is, but QuickBooks, I don't have any proposals. QuickBooks is no longer gonna be, this version we have is no longer gonna be supported. So they're switching to a subscription base and it's gonna be more expensive. We've talked in the past about switching to BS&A, which is integrated with our tax and assessing software. I can check into other fund balance accounting software. We can continue to use QuickBooks, but they won't continue to upgrade it, and so eventually it's going to cause problems. We had approved the reworking of the chart of accounts in QuickBooks to comply with the new standards, and instead of going forward with that, I would rather search out new software. It's gonna be expensive no matter what we do, but we waste a lot of time and energy making it work.
Yeah. Stuff in a square peg.
Right, and so because we already approved to have the CPA work on the chart of accounts, which they've been doing, I can call and tell them to stop where they're at for now. If we're gonna seek out other options, we can continue like I said, but to me that would be ridiculous to continue with software that's no longer supported
I think
because,
if I remember I did say she's
I
got
have
BSA.
called BS&A.
I know, I was getting to that.
Yeah, they're gonna call me back probably tomorrow.
She was gonna have them come out and give us a presentation. I contacted through the IT company. I asked them for some recommendations for fund accounting, software recommendations, and I had an appointment, well, I have some appointments coming up with a couple of them to get bids, but what I wanted you to be aware of the situation and ensure that you want me to tell the CPA to hold off for now.
Yeah,
And
And I think anyone that we do talk to, my opinion would be, one of the crucial things is that their software be compliant with the new chart of accounts, so we're not.
well, it absolutely will be. The
Yeah.
only reason QuickBooks isn't is because it's not fund balance accounting.
Yeah,
yeah.
And this is the one area that I have the expertise and the knowledge to deal with. Rip rap and all that stuff, I never even heard the word till the other day. So I am willing to work on this, but I wanted to get the board's approval to tell the CPA to hold off on the chart of accounts for now while we make these decisions. And I will continue to work on getting some options and bringing them to the board in the future.
I'm all for that.
so will you make a motion to tell the CPA to stop?
We'll just put a pin in it for now,
Okay.
is what I don't know what her motion is, but that's what I'm asking.
Okay.
Is that your motion, Deb?
Yes, I
To-
make a
to
motion to
postpone
postpone what Ken is doing until we decide what software that we will be using. I mean, it's no point in doing double work.
That's what I thought. I'll
Yeah,
support
double the
that.
cost.
Motion stated, is there
No.
I'll
support?
support it.
No,
County
Oh,
program.
Ken,
County.
the auditor.
yes.
Okay.
So there's a motion and a support on the floor to tell Ken Palter to halt with the conversion to the new chart of accounts until such time we determine which software package we want to use in the future.
Okay, are we gonna put a time limit on this, or are we gonna let it go for 6 months?
What type of a time limit?
What time,
is-
do you think you'll have an answer in a month? By the next board meeting?
No, I'm not gonna commit to anything. I'm gonna do my research,
Okay.
and when I have an answer, I'm certainly not gonna drag it out, but I'm not gonna be rushed into it when I'm at the mercy of when people can meet with me. This is a big deal.
Yeah,
Choosing general ledger accounting software is a lot bigger deal than riprap.
Well, can you give us your best guess?
A couple months at the most, I would think.
All right.
Just depends on how long it takes. Like, she was gonna have BSNA come out and give us a presentation
Yeah,
in early June. And I was supposed to meet with somebody today, but I had a cemetery emergency, and so,
so then let me restate the motion that we inform Ken to halt on this conversion until we can look at this and report back to the board within 2 months. So there's a motion on the floor, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Got that done. Item 19, building maintenance.
Can I do it from here?
Hmm?
Can I do it from here?
it's up to them if they can hear you.
I can't hear you.
Grab the mic.
Yeah, you can go take the mic to your seat.
No, are you speaking on camera?
Turn the mic on.
Let's just walk around with it, Tracy.
Right. Anyways, the floor, waxer guy, Mark, no longer is in business.
okay.
I reached out to a friend of mine that does property maintenance. His guy won't come from Detroit with his equipment. I reached out to Adams Flooring. He doesn't know anybody that will wax these. I reached out to Parish Carpet, the one that installed the floor here. He doesn't know anybody that will wax these. The VSP is obsolete. So I asked Steve to come out and give us an estimate on putting that vinyl over this, excluding these two storage areas. He said if we do it sooner than later, we can get right over because they did give enough clearance on all of the doors. If we wait by the back door where water keeps coming in, is destroying the floor. If they start to crumble and deteriorate because the wax is missing, we will have to pay a lot of money to have it removed with some.
Why is there water coming in the door?
Yeah,
That's the next question.
Item on the agenda.
All right, I'll wait.
Okay, this door at the bottom, that door at the bottom
So.
are rotted, and that door at the top, water keeps coming in under that rug. We have to keep mopping when it heavily rains. So all of the tile by that back door is separated. It was suggested by Parish Carpet that we not put the floor in until we can find or have these doors replaced because they're just rotted. I would think that they should last longer than that, but maybe I'm not an expert. I went through the box of the original building information, found that it's called CAR doors out of Taylor that originally put these in. They are no longer in business. Gary suggested maybe that we reach out to Detroit Door. Does anybody on the board have any preference or knowledge on commercial doors, a better company, or?
None.
I do not.
No, it-
Lansing.
Also, while Parish Carpet was here, I don't know if you guys are aware, but under Gary's desk, we have it very well hidden, kind of. Somebody at some point did not use a mat under their chair. The carpet is ripped and destroyed. So he did bring in carpet square samples and said that he could do this and that. So he's supposed to bring us, or do we have that bid?
Yeah,
We
I
have
just
that bid,
didn't put
but
it out
he
because
said
we
not
were
to
still
do
working
anything
on
with the
it.
flooring until we do the doors because it would risk damaging the new flooring.
There was last summer, we had that rainstorm.
It was a
And I
couple
came
weeks
into the
ago,
office
too, I
and there
know.
was water from that door,
Oh, it happened a couple weeks ago when you guys were at the conference
and,
too.
down, the floor in the hall and into the kitchen. That was a year
There's
ago.
all roof water coming off the roof.
It's because there's no
It's-
overhangs.
Yeah, but then the doors and the jambs are all rusted out and it's coming in underneath.
Yeah, the very bottoms of it, it's all missing. That back door, it's where the, there's like a seal at the top and it was coming in the top of the door and shooting down onto it was soaked. We had to mop it 3 times while we were here because water kept coming in. So if you move that rug, you can see the separation, and he said if it starts to break up and come up, we'll have to pay to have some scrapey fancy tool that makes a lot of noise, I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, you open that door over there, Jordan, and underneath there's chunks of rust, metal rust that fall.
Yeah.
The
this one has
jambs
big
are
holes.
rusted too, not just the doors.
There's a verified water issue that needs to be addressed before you do anything.
4 roofing
That's why
companies
we're
came-
working on all these things in order.
4
We're doing the
companies
parking
came out
lot.
to tell me, or that said that they would put the 16-inch overhangs and give us roofing bids because when we had that inspection 2 years ago, we were on 5 years that we would need our roof replaced and none of them submitted a bid. After I wasted how many hours meeting with all of those people.
Yeah.
Because for whatever reason, that the overhangs were never put on this building, even though
And
they
the
were on
print,
the
the
drawing.
print
and
called
part of
for
our
it,
ordinance.
right? The print called for overhangs, right?
Yeah, and it's part of our ordinance.
But building maintenance has been neglected for probably since the day the place was built, and we've been working on it. We replaced the HVAC, we're working on things. Brandy, who's the assessor's assistant, has been very helpful for the rest of us in the office, helping make phone calls, talk to people, meet with people. And Gary also helps because he's previously was a contractor, so we've been working on all these things, but every time we look into one item, 3 more come up that have to be fixed before that other one, because it's really just the end of the line, and we didn't know, we had that issue where water was blowing in and coming through the bathroom ceilings years ago, and the board at that time just said, oh, it only happens once in a while. So that's overhang and venting issues, but again, we went right then into getting roof bids and we couldn't get any. So I do have the estimate if anyone wants to hear it right now for the flooring, but it's different phases and I wasn't thinking we were at the point to present it because we
I was
were
just
waiting
letting
for all
you
these
know.
other
So
things.
Gary and I were supposed to tomorrow work on trying to find somebody to come out to get bid the doors. Is that something you guys are even interested in, or am I wasting time?
Not until you fix the water issue. I see no reason to fix anything until you address the water issue.
Which we're working
Contract
on.
that roof- No, 5, 4.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the drainage, because the water coming in
No,
and
it's
ruining
because
everything.
the-
Okay, the
it's-
overhangs. Well, like I said, we've been trying for 2 years to get a roofing
They won't give us
estimate.
a bid, nobody will give us a bid. They're all very interested in adding it. I asked for 16-inch overhangs, a bid for a metal roof and a bid for an asphalt roof.
Soffits and rakes, soffits and rakes,
Mm-hmm,
just 16 inches?
mm-hmm,
Sure?
pretty sure.
Okay.
That's what Todd told me to say,
Todd who?
Thomas.
He's not here anymore.
That's when
Well,
we
what do you
started.
want her to get bids for?
Right, do you want, can you
What was
call
the
me?
original print? What the original print called?
16. They're right behind you.
In here?
Don't open the left side, only open the right.
At least that, but my issue is the water coming off the roof coming down is not going to where it's supposed to be going.
It's usually directional rain is what causes it to come in.
I thought we were working on the downspouts and the drains in the parking lot and all that stuff and the retention pond, and then we would address the other stuff, and it's all cascading into a
Yeah, every time
big
we
deal.
turn around, it turns into
Yeah.
a poop catastrophe. We have to pick somewhere to start. 4 people didn't give me a bid, unless you know a roofer that'll give us a bid and show up.
Well,
Any of you guys
evidently you didn't
roofers?
say the right thing because they didn't give you a bid, so.
What do you mean?
They don't even show up.
No, they showed up.
Oh,
They just wouldn't, they didn't give us a bid. I was supposed to.
they never submitted it after they saw the job. Oh, because most of the time people don't show
They
up.
say Mr. OSHA works
Like,
here is what I was told.
Yeah, that's one thing, they do say
So
that.
thanks a lot,
They're serious.
George.
Oh, that's a good excuse.
I'm not saying it's valid, but they do say
Thank
that.
you, that's what I was told. Mr. OSHA works there.
Oh, you gotta replace the sewer later.
Probably won't be any crane violations.
Oh, there will be. There always are.
We'll just make sure you're on vacation.
So,
Just let
we
me know when
can't
you're
fix the
gonna do
roof
it.
right now. Can I fix the door before we have to pay a bazillion dollars to rip up this flooring? Or can we, I mean, I'm gonna get bids, obviously. But am I wasting my time is what I'm asking? Because I have other things that I could do, like save birds from the downspouts.
We all have to prioritize.
I don't think you're wasting your time, Randy. I think the more information we got, the better we can make a decision.
But then when I've brought bids to the board and it says 30 days and then it takes 30 days to get the meeting and then I give them you and then you say they're no good and we don't like that, we want you to do something else. And she witnesses all this and that's why she's been helping me with the load. But it is very frustrating to bust your butt, to get bids, bring them forward and then get shot down because they don't ask for the right stuff when you were never given direction in the first place about what people want. Like I said, I know nothing about commercial doors and rip-rap and downspouts, so I do my best. I bring it to you and you cut it all up and say we don't like it, do something else.
All I'm saying is I'm good with tree removal in the retention pond, that's it. That's all.
So you don't care about downspouts and
As far as the
overhangs and
retention,
doors?
as far as retention.
We
I'm
moved
just
on
talking
from
about
that a long time ago to this other issue.
You're talking about big money when you start talking about.
Yeah, but
software.
if we don't do it, it's just gonna be more big money later.
Like the roads.
I'm not going.
All right. I think we should add that further discussion. There's nothing,
Can we like have a special meeting or something where everyone get all bids, or that way we can make the decision?
We don't even know what we're getting bids on because everybody can't decide what we should do, who should do it, how to do it, what it should say. I was working on the, retention pond and then it got jumped and now everybody's arguing about that. I haven't even gotten, she's been working behind the scenes with me, she's been making some of the calls, but like I said, every time we invest all our time and energy into bringing a bunch of bids to the board, everybody tears them apart and doesn't do anything. It gets very frustrating to waste your time on that stuff. So unless someone's gonna help, or someone's gonna give some direction, there's no point in her or I or anyone else. You were gonna help with the IT bids.
It's a board decision, it's not your decision, it's not my decision, it's a board decision.
What is? What's the
Whatever you're gonna do.
Okay, but who's going to start stepping up and helping get some of these bids that know more about
We don't even know
it?
what we're doing yet.
How are we going to figure that
I
out?
don't know, it's up to the board, make a motion, what do you wanna do?
The last time I tried to do something, you guys told me I didn't know what I was talking about, so I'm not gonna do that.
Well, okay, I guess we're done.
I motion that we accept bids on getting the roof replaced with 16-inch overhangs, and that's our first priority.
Is that the total criteria in the request for proposal is 16-inch overhangs?
Well, if that's what's on the drawings, and it never was done, like, I don't understand.
I'm not arguing with you, I'm trying to clarify, so
No, I
when
know,
we
I'm
bring
not-
it to you, you don't, not you, but when we bring it in here and then somebody's like, well, what about this and what about that, and how come you didn't know?
Because George works here.
I know, and he thinks that's funny, but we're
It's not funny,
serious.
that's
I
what
know,
makes
we're
us
serious.
I've heard all kinds of excuses, okay? It all comes back to whatever the bid is.
They won't give us a
If you
bid.
approve a bid, they'll be here.
They won't give us a bid.
They told me they would give me a bid because Mr. OSHA would.
Told me the same thing
Well, I guess
for
we got a
years.
problem then, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Well, there's gotta be somebody out there that
I'm
does.
Who
sure.
wants to start looking looking for those people, because I've exhausted my options, Brandy's exhausted her options, everyone else sits here and tells us to do
In the meantime, the
something.
floor's deteriorating back there.
Exactly.
I'm not telling you to do anything, I just don't think we know what we wanna do yet, that's what I'm saying.
I've seen.
Then can we just move on?
Two years, how long's it gonna take?
In your opinion, George, the thing that we should be looking at first is protecting these entrances with an overhang. Am I right?
It's not just the overhang, it's the volume of water coming off the roof, and if it's coming down the downspout, it's not going in the drain like it's supposed to.
Yeah, well, both of those issues.
They all kind of go together.
So the one with the drains, we are sort of working on, we're waiting for the company with the cameras to go out. and make
Tomorrow
sure
at 5.
that everything is in working order.
But as a suggestion, if you're looking at doing the roof or doing the overhangs, I know it's more money, I'm just throwing this out there for discussion.
Yeah.
About re-siding this thing, I can't stand looking at this thing.
I agree.
Okay?
Who's gonna prepare the request for proposal with all these criteria that so we know
It's
what
a
we're
board-
asking for?
We can have a special meeting, put this package all together so
Okay,
everybody's happy.
That would be awesome. That would
That's
be
all I'm saying,
incredible.
it's not my decision to make, it's not Bill's, it's not yours, I'm
Nobody
just saying let's
said
get
it
everybody
was.
together, including the people that are sitting in the audience.
So is that a motion to hold a special meeting to discuss this stuff? or-
Second.
We have one more.
But did anyone, nobody supported it?
Nobody asked for support.
Oh. Bill?
Wait a minute, what are we talking about?
I made a motion,
Oh.
we're gonna get bids for a 16-foot overhang in the roof.
Can you
16
withdraw your
feet.
motion?
I withdraw.
Thank you.
So, who made the motion?
Liz made it, I seconded it.
What did I make a motion
You
about?
made the
That
motion
was.
to have a special
Special
meeting.
meeting.
Oh, no, I asked you if you were making
You
one.
made a
No,
motion.
I
I
did
heard
not.
I made the motion to have a special meeting to discuss the freaking maintenance.
Building maintenance?
Building maintenance.
Building
The
and parking lot.
bringing maintenance?
No, we're not putting that.
Well, that's.
How about property maintenance includes everything?
Gabby, can you read the motion back?
No, I can't.
No, I'll restate the motion correctly. Amy's making a motion that we hold a special meeting regarding building maintenance.
Second.
So,
Are we gonna schedule it or are we just?
No, we're scheduling it right now.
The motion should include when it's gonna happen.
Okay, well, amend the motion.
And we're changing George's name to Bob, so someone will do our roof.
Just say he's no longer here.
You know, just tell him I retired. Everybody thinks I
We
retired.
don't lie in his office.
Well, when do we wanna do it?
Can you have the prints?
They're right behind you.
No, when we have the meeting, I want you to present the prints or somebody else to present the prints.
No, you get on the right behind you. Yes,
It's up to
yes,
you.
I can.
Does anybody have any idea why the rakes and soffits were not put on the building?
I have looked for
I thought
notes on that.
Nobody
I was
but
on
you
the-
was-
No, I was
you
on
were-
the building committee, but the original design that we wanted, the building committee, went in the dumpster.
right, yeah, you and I talked about that.
Yeah,
Nobody.
Basically, this is our.
But the approved print had the overhangs and soffits and all of that on
Yes.
there, it's not on the building.
does that answer your question?
To
Amy?
build the building
Does that
there,
answer your question?
Correct,
how the heck is it done without that slide?
and it's in our ordinance that it has to have the overhangs at least 16 inches.
So we're in violation.
Yeah,
The
we're in
township's in,
violation.
the township's in
I told my
violation.
grader to get them out.
Yeah.
Where's the fee schedule?
We don't know, that's 20 years ago.
There's
So,
no notes,
true.
there's no notes as to why it was changed, I've been through that box 10 times.
And it was 20 years ago,
So
and nobody but George was even in here.
How about if we hold this special meeting on
Tomorrow.
June 6th?
that's my birthday, no thank you.
We'll bring it,
We'll bring a cake.
What?
what do you like, chocolate, white, what are we talking
We're
here?
gonna have to bring more than.
I don't
So
wanna
you
handicap
wanna-
my birthday.
So we'll all come here on Monday the 5th then, which is not a work day.
I can't on a Monday because I.
Okay.
Tomorrow, it was tomorrow.
What about,
Yeah, tomorrow is not Wednesday. you guys
How
are
many
here.
hours does it have to be
You're not
posted?
gonna do it during work hours.
no, that's what I'm saying, it'd be nice to do it on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday at 3, because
I'm
most
good,
of us are already here.
I'm good, tomorrow at 3?
No, I didn't. Tomorrow at 3.
Do you have enough time to post it though?
No,
So that way we can get our
can't.
pants and
You have to have 18 hours, isn't it?
Okay.
well, it's 18 hours, but that's not, but, oh, yeah, I was-
That way it's time, is it got enough time for the posting?
If we post it before 9, we have enough time to.
Motion to adjourn.
No.
That's so we can get the thing posted before 9 o'clock. I don't, that was a joke.
Well,
Motion to excuse the clerk to post the meeting for tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
Denied.
there is no other item on the agenda, so I'll entertain a motion.
There's a call to the public.
Oh, you're right, you're right.
Wait a minute, so where's tomorrow 3?
We're, no, I didn't, somebody made a half-baked motion and no one supported it, and we have done a lot of nothing for the last 20 minutes. So if we're gonna seriously do something, personally, I don't think we should be doing it tomorrow at 3, but if that's what you guys wanna do, go ahead.
I agree with you, I think
We
we
don't
need a
have a
little
second
bit
on
of,
the motion.
I think we need a little bit of time for preparation.
Well, then I have the 24th at 3.
Is that next week?
Yes,
Next Wednesday?
yes.
Is that agreeable with the clerk?
I won't be here.
The treasurer won't be here, I don't know what the clerk will be doing.
I will be at Advanced Institute.
Well, just you or you on, or Bill, will you be here or not?
Yes.
He'll be here.
There'll be a quorum.
So, well, is that acceptable, Liz?
I do not know, I have to check my schedule. It will be, I will post it and it will be scheduled, I don't have to be here.
You were one of the proponents to have the meeting.
No, I wasn't. I said, did you want to?
All right.
All right, let's just schedule.
So, okay, what's the motion? Because we still
Motion to
don't
hold
support.
Motion to hold a special meeting regarding building maintenance made by Crampton Atherton on May 24th at 3 o'clock. I do not have a second.
Second.
Vote. Okay.
There's no further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Special meeting is set. 3 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
3 o'clock, yeah. Would you remind us, please?
No, next Wednesday. Pick up my kids from school.
Time to get up.
I don't think we'd be done here, but that's okay.
You'll be here till
Not
10
many
o'clock
people.
at that night.
Oh, no, oh, no.
We have baseball practice at 6, I can't go that long.
Ah, you're excused.
So do you.
Okay, last call to the public.
Oh, I didn't get to properly say, but I thank you for pausing on that planner issue. Liz, I would agree with you that not all the fault is probably with the planner, but being at the crossroads we're at, that we might as well pause and really look at what's out there. There's a lot of people involved in the community now. I think everyone has a better idea of where everyone's coming from. So I do appreciate that. Also, side note, just wondering how the 3-ticket thing worked out at the garbage pickup, because we talked so much about that.
Absolutely perfect.
Did it? Good.
It went smoothly. Everyone that was here, that brought trash up, said they were pleased with the pricing. Jeff was pleased in the collection. And I think it went absolutely wonderful.
Great.
I make a motion.
Shut down again?
We're down, Deb.
It's always
It's like, hey, whatever.
So there seems to be a common thing to me here. Every time the township tries to get something done and get a bid on something, I mean, from trees to grass mowing, there's always, seems like it's a debacle. And the reason I believe it's a debacle is because there's such a thing called scope of work that is never presented from this township to who you want to bid things on. So scope of work is exactly what you are looking for from that contractor. Retention pond, okay, you want things done during retention pond. We have 2 or 3 different bids right now for 2 or 3 different things being done to the retention pond. So if you want multiple bids on something, you have to put in the scope of work. We want a bid for removal of these trees and 15 foot around these areas where the drainage is. That's bid A. Bid B is the entire retention pond, whether it's a riprap or whatever else you are wanting done with that. And then that proposal is given to every contractor, so they are bidding on the exact same thing. Even the lawn mowing was a disaster. Because you got 4 different bids from 4 different people doing 4 different things on the lawn mowing. The one was for $500 every time they mowed. You have no clue at the end of the year how much you're paying for that lawn mowing. None. Because if they show up 2 times in a week, you just doubled what you thought you were gonna pay because you thought you were gonna pay $500 a week. So it has to be a scope of work. This is what we want. We want the lawn mowed when it exceeds 3.5 inches in length. You
Can I
have to
interrupt you
mow.
and tell you we do have all that, they just didn't all bid it that way. It does say exactly how we want that done.
And then I know you were also given a bid on the lawn mower and they kind of gave you a price overall and everybody was complaining about it. But if that price is with the scope of work that you've given them, you already know what you're getting for that price. You gave them the scope of work. It's that simple in the contracting world.
And we have the scope of work, and we did give it to them all, and they should have bid it, and for snow
But it was
plowing-
that way with the trees, it's that way with everything. Every bid, and then you say people don't wanna bid things and stuff, well, as a contractor, if I see that, no, I'm not bidding it. Cause I know that the job's gonna be a disaster, and there's never gonna be a good solution in the end.
So can I ask you? if
So
you
as
have
a
solution?
contractor on stuff like that, I wouldn't bid it, because I look at what you're giving me to bid, and I say, this has nothing to do with what you really want, or what we discussed is what is in your bid. I have to totally redo all this.
There's no bid specs, there's no scope of work,
So
there's no bid specs.
what's the solution? Who's gonna write these bid specs? Who's qualified to make
Yeah.
these decisions and choices, and who's supposed
Just
to
like
be?
it was asking me to, get a quote for doing the sidewalks. I'm no cement guy, I don't know how to write that scope of work.
I'm
But
a
you know that
bookkeeper, I don't know how to do
you
that.
want to fix or repair what's out there, and I mean, maybe I'm thinking you know more than what you do, because I'm from that world or whatever, but like, you just cut a foot on each side of where it's cracked and heaved, and you replace 2 foot of concrete, that's
Well,
the repair.
that's what my suggestion, before we get into the whole drain issue, mine was to be, get quotes for either replacing or repairing what needed to be done. But when I went out and looked at some other township or city requests for bids, they were naming the type of concrete and all this other stuff, whether it's, quicksand or, I can't remember everything, but there's very detailed, and I'm not qualified to do that.
But Bill, you can call, if you can get one contractor show up, you can pick his brain, and you can find out exactly what he's gonna do for you and why, and
Good
you
idea.
ask the questions. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why do you think it should be this? Why do you think it should be that? Then you make up your scope of work and try to find other contractors to compare his bid.
That's exactly what I was doing for the retention pond, and it got thrown out there in the public beforehand. I had a contractor who gave me specifics, and I was gonna type it up as a request for proposal. I did the same thing with the trees, we do it with snow plowing, we do it with mowing, but again, if I know how to run an election, you know how to do construction work, I don't. So there's nobody sitting here that's knowledgeable or willing to do that,
It's
that
not
they
just
don't
with
know.
the maintenance and things like that, though, even with the planner, it's the same thing, it's the same issue.
So what's the solution that you're recommending to fix this problem?
Research, and somebody like, get some knowledge of it all.
Who would do that? Who's,
Somebody that's in charge, that's on the board, and I mean, I have a question even, like, whose
Because when we're
detailed
here-
job is it to get quotes and things?
there isn't any. There's statutory duties, and this treasurer, the supervisor, and the clerk have very specific
Right.
statutory duties, and then there's a lot of stuff that needs to get done, and the trustees are supposed to pick up the slack, but they don't have necessarily the knowledge or experience either, and they aren't in the office or don't put in the work. The old trustees used to do that stuff, so we have been floundering. But I have elections to run, all kinds of other things, and I'm doing my best, and you obviously can sense my frustration tonight that every time I go out there and try to do this, either someone jumps in the middle or complains because I did it wrong. I don't have the scope of knowledge or education. I have to learn how to run elections and early voting and do all these other things. And we need someone that's why Brandy has been helping me. If the supervisor wants to take over all those responsibilities, nobody is specifically responsible. It just gets dumped on whoever in the middle of a meeting. And no one is
Yeah, 'cause
technically
we're here during
responsible
work hours.
for it.
We're doing what our statutory duties are, what we have to do.
I understand that.
Do townships ever have like a building maintenance person?
Well, sure they do, and they have DPWs and sextons and everything else, but we don't because we're small. Does anybody want to pay to have a building maintenance person on staff? I don't know, what's the scope for them? How much are they going to work? What are they going to do? The zoning administrator, the old one was a plumber, the new one's a contractor. They've helped out a lot. It's a lot of people doing their best to try to get this stuff done and getting criticized every step of the way for their efforts. It's not a matter of laziness or stupidity. It's a matter of you can only do what you can do. And you can only know, I don't know what questions to ask, so how can I ask the right questions? I'm doing my best. But no, yes, there is people, lots of places have those things. Lots of places have a lot higher hours and more staff, and this township cannot afford to pay for that. So I don't know what the answer is. I'm seriously asking you, not arguing with you. I'm saying, what's the suggestion? Because I have spent years getting criticized for my bid accepting policies that aren't my policies, but my practices, because I do the best I can, and I don't know what I'm supposed to ask. I'm dead serious. Never heard of rip-rap in my life till last week.
So I guess my suggestion would be is maybe you need to find a building maintenance company, a builder, something like that that has knowledge of all these
For
things.
consult?
That you can, I don't want to say put them on a retainer, but that you can call and say,
Do you have a suggestion or a recommendation? Because we can't even get a decent cleaning service, and we have a detailed request for proposals there. So you gotta know the questions asked, and you gotta know the people. And nobody sitting here apparently knows them, because it's not like we're all sitting here saying, we don't care, we're not gonna do it, we don't wanna do it, we just don't know. Or some people are unwilling to help, I don't know, I can't speak for other people.
As in the past, we have had committees that would take that challenge and then bring their consensus back to the board for a decision.
We have a building maintenance committee, one person left.
Can I speak, please?
I was just
Can I
telling you, we
speak?
have an existing committee.
Okay? We don't have a direction right now, okay? We're floundering, we're all over the place. We're doing this over here this week, we're doing that over that next week.
right,
That's the reason to have this meeting, is come to a consensus on what we want to do or not do, and then move forward from there.
Well,
because,
and the other thing is too, you have a full-time job. Bill has another job, I mean, other, you know, this just isn't
we
it.
know that.
We have a building maintenance committee.
Who's on
It was
this?
a three-member committee, and then one of them resigned from the board, and no one stepped up to replace them. Brandy and Bill are on the committee, and the trustee was on the committee. But right now, it's Brandy and Bill. That's why Brandy and Bill are doing a lot of the work, but, and I've historically tried to get bids.
Well, my
And
point was
clearly-
to have the people of the township form a committee, have the people of the township tell us what they want to do, and then go from that.
Works for me.
Okay, so it's not up to the board to make the decision. The final decision is the board's, but let the people make the decision and bring it to us.
That works for me.
So
Do you
the
have a
building committee is
recommendation, Mike?
appointed? They're
Yeah.
appointed.
Okay.
It's not official, it's just amongst the board members, we decided these are gonna be the point people that are gonna do figure out what we need and bring it to us, and that's what
Mike's
they've
trying to tell
done.
you, he's tried twice now.
No, I'm answering Sarah's question,
Yeah,
No,
sorry,
I will-
and I don't think it's
I will
faulty.
bring you some recommendations.
and I'm not arguing, I'm asking you
No,
sincerely.
I'm asking questions also, because I'm trying to figure out, sitting here and listening, and this, like I said, seems to be an issue over every issue, like, nobody can present something like in full, so that people are totally knowledgeable of what they're even voting on, in my opinion. Like, if I was sitting up there, I'd be like, well, I'm not real sure what you're asking me to vote on right now, because It's not a completed thing here that you're presenting. It's like half completed or 3/4 completed of the knowledge or the information that you need to feed everybody so that they can make a legitimate and intelligent answer and vote. And it's not just one thing. It is many and multiple things that are being presented. Like I said, all the way to the plan. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just over and over of that exact same routine. And that's why we get so frustrated sometimes ourselves, because we see that. And like I said, when I sit back there and I say, well, I couldn't tell you what I would vote on that because you didn't give me enough information even to make an intelligent vote.
Concern noted. Please attend our special meeting. Maybe you can volunteer to spend some time in helping us out.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you.
What about forming a committee of the people of the township for these issues?
I think we discussed that in our special meeting. Do you want me to add that to the agenda?
For the special.
For the special meeting.
Yeah, what would you call that?
Building maintenance.
Maintenance.
Building maintenance committee.
Committee.
I mean, we have to have a clear reason for calling the special meeting. I thought that was the meeting
Well, let her-
purpose.
Well, for building maintenance, but
Right.
in addition to that, we're gonna agenda item as a building maintenance committee, forming the building maintenance committee.
Okay, but we need to have scope and expectations.
That's what we'll be discussing.
That was the purpose.
You have a floor.
Okay, like I said, I just got done doing an addition on my house. There were a lot of things that I didn't know how to do or what to do. I simply called the county building department. They told me what was expected and how to get it done. So that might be a source if you're not sure. I'm calling to take, I mean, are the gutters too small? Are they the right size for commercial building?
Good point.
Did you catch that, Brandy? Call the building department with questions.
I call Carrie.
I know, you call them every day.
Because obviously the building wasn't built to your specs, so I don't know who inspected it. But,
The building
There's a
department?
lot of history on
well,
that.
yeah.
Building department.
start on that.
Building
I mean,
department.
it's a good source of finding out what you need to do, because they're gonna have to look at it anyways.
They're the ones that approved it.
No, wait a minute, hold on one second. They give the CLO, okay, but as far as following the actual prints, they don't follow whatever that print is to the T, as far as, they're looking at it from a building occupancy issue, okay? And Amy will attest to this, all right? They're not gonna look at the prints and go, oh, you didn't do this or you didn't do that. That's not their business.
Okay.
They do the inspection.
Okay.
Okay, they're just looking for a safety aspect, make sure everything is in place, ingress and egress, blah, 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 for whoever the occupant's going to be. And this place is public,
Okay.
okay? They're not gonna do that.
Okay, I didn't
And
know.
then,
I thought
you're
they did
looking for-
inspections every step of the way.
Code violations, that's
Okay.
what they're looking for, is code violations.
So that's not a code issue.
No, you don't have to have it.
Okay, I didn't know. I'm
Yeah.
saying,
But the point, to verify your point, the print called for it, and it should have been caught by the GC, who was Irish.
Correct.
Our ordinance.
Now let's not be talking ethnicity.
It is a,
What?
No.
They issued.
it is a violation though, because you don't have any event to the soffit, to vet your roof properly. That's part of the reason why your roof is having damage after 20 years, because it's not vetted properly.
I'm not at all trying to be disrespectful to people. I get frustrated and you all are making wonderful suggestions, but you're assuming we don't already do these things, which we do. And maybe we don't do them perfectly because we don't know. I thought that's what the whole point of the building department was. You submit a plan, they make sure you follow it. Until just this moment, I did not know that wasn't their job. So again, we're doing the best we can. None of us are general contractors or tree surgeons or anything. We're doing the best we can to do the job that those of us here are charged with is far and above the statutory duties that we ran on the election, on the ballot. We ran to perform the statutory duties. And then we have 27 other things that everybody wants us to do perfectly, which is a learning curve, which we're working on. But we do want input and we do want things, but we're not just sitting here ignoring everyone and being stupid on purpose. We just don't necessarily always know. And we do call the building department. We do call contractors. We do give them scopes of work. I don't know what the answer is. When you say, this is what I want, and they give you something else, do you just throw their bid out? Okay, see, I thought I had to submit all the bids because they were submitted to me. So in the future, now I know. If they don't give me exactly what I asked for, I just throw it away. Or put it in the public records.
Retain them.
Yes, I said, that's what I'm saying. I won't throw it away, but I will not submit it for consideration. Again, I know nothing about this. It's not really my responsibility. I've been trying to do it. I've been doing the best I could. So give us some grace and help us instead of always criticizing us, because we don't sit up here trying to look like clowns. We're trying to figure this out.
No, but if you tell us that you don't know, you're just guessing at it, there's the internet. That'll at least start you.
I'm telling you, we've already done all these things that you're suggesting. Until we call the building department all the time.
But you just got done telling us that you don't know, you're just guessing.
I did not say we guess. I said we call the building department. We ask questions. Until the question comes up, how do we know what question to even ask? Until someone says, well, you didn't do this right. I can do all kinds of research on the internet. I'm quite good at it, but I have to know what I'm supposed to be researching in the first place. So all I'm asking for is, instead of constantly telling us how we're doing everything wrong, Sarah offers legitimate, specific suggestions that we take into consideration and respond to. And sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. Sometimes we agree or disagree, but it's not like we're all just sitting here going, oh, you guys are just stupid and we know everything. We're not saying that. We're trying, and we deserve, just as you do, the respect that we are trying to do the job. We're not just sitting up here ignoring everybody and acting like you're all stupid like you act like we are. And I'm not specifically talking to you. I'm not talking to you specifically.
I didn't hear anybody say that at all. Well, what we're looking at is just a ball of confusion up here. I mean, I'm not sure if you're looking at the gutters, I'm not sure if you're looking at the cement, I'm not sure if you're looking at the drainage pipe or the downspouts.
And I tried to explain it was a cascading problem. And so when George asks questions, then Brandy starts to tell him, well, this came up and that came up and this came up. And we're trying to address them, but they're being brought out to the public too early at some times because we're still doing that research, and then all of a sudden we're forced into making decisions on things we haven't even finished the research on. She was not done. She and I were working on the retention pond.
Detention pond.
Detention pond. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a detention pond.
It's not high school detention, it's retention.
No, there is a detention pond. I learned this in my research. I thought it was a typo. It really is a detention pond, not a retention pond.
What's the
It's
difference?
a retention pond retains water, a detention pond gathers it and it goes out. See, I'm learning, but it's a slow process.
Oh, God.
But we've been waiting for 3 weeks or something to get somebody to do a camera, and this all started because of the sidewalks and.
Actually started because of the parking lot, and then the sidewalks, and then everything's marked.
We have to fix something to fix.
Okay, I have one more question. I'm not sure, because I didn't get here early, if it's the right meeting for this. On that solar panel test that's still going on on Killinger Road without a land use permit, what's going on with that?
Our attorney wrote DTE a letter. DTE has responded. They said they haven't had a chance to develop their response yet, but they will shortly.
But DTE don't own that property. I mean, if it was on my property, regardless whose it was, you'd be coming to me.
And we have issued violation letters, but DTE is the one that put it there.
3 months, 4 months?
We're going through the process, but DTE placed it there and we're working through the process to get it addressed.
But the homeowner, the landowner is being fined every month that DT doesn't respond?
Well, I don't think he's been fined yet. He's gotten violation letters. I don't know at what, maybe he has, I don't know at what point. He may have been fined, I don't know. We have been issuing violation letters. We've been in contact with their attorneys. We are working on it. But we really shouldn't, or can't comment specifically because the attorneys are arguing right now. We don't know.
The crops are in now, so they're gonna say, well, we gotta wait till the crops come down. So now we're talking fall.
Realistically, do you really think that the 5 of us can make DTE do anything? I mean, by the time we take them to court and fight with them,
Somebody
they'll take
allowed
it
them to
off.
put it there in the first place.
No, we didn't, they just did it.
It just showed up.
Yeah, they didn't ask permission, nobody
They asked
gave them a
permission from the
permit.
landowner, and the landowner never approved.
It just appeared, and we were made aware of it instantly, but we've been working on it ever
With
since.
the landowner to say, stop, cease and desist.
And we're working on it, but there's a
We've been
process.
working on it. Like I said, this has been 3 months now, at least, if not longer.
There's a process, there's,
We keep hearing that. I've asked the same question at several meetings, I keep hearing that. But I see nothing going on. My permits
If you
were
can
out,
develop a
you guys
legal
came to me.
opinion and discuss it with our attorneys, please feel free to do so.
That's your job,
That's what we're doing.
but you're not doing it.
yes, we
It's
are.
not getting
We are
done.
following the legal
If it's
It
not
has
procedure.
to
getting
go
done, it's
through
not
a
getting
lot
done.
of steps, and we can't force them to do anything any faster.
If there's
The
an ordinance
attorneys-
violation,
Is there-
this
are you
is
finding
an
the landowner
ordinance violation.
illegal?
There are steps that have to be followed to remedy that ordinance
Is
violation.
there a
Those
fine
steps
that goes
have
to the
been
landowner?
followed.
Is there a fine that goes to the landowner for not following through with what he's supposed
At a
to do?
certain point, there's violation letters, there's fines, there's all kinds of things. There are laws that govern everything we do, and we're not just doing it on a whim.
Have you started?
Yes, we've been working on it ever since the day it was put in.
Is what I'm asking. How are you working?
I'm not the zoning administrator, so I cannot say exactly. Did you collect a fine?
No, I haven't collected any fine.
Well, you think he's gonna do nothing if you guys do nothing?
We're not doing nothing.
You're not doing
We're
anything.
writing violation
You're not
letters. We're
finding-
contacting
you're not
the
doing anything
attorney.
to get it off there. You're just saying, okay, here's the problem.
No, we're
And then
not.
we're ignoring it.
We're not.
Maybe you know better, take a truck and hook up and haul it
That's
away.
not my job.
Well, it's
We're
not
doing
my
our
job.
job.
We're doing our job. We've got.
No, you're not, or it would be gone. If I had a problem on my yard, you guys are all over it, and then you're threatening me that you're gonna find me or send somebody in there to take care of the problem at my expense. That's what happens to the residents.
Action that was taken against you, but.
Yeah.
So I'll wait, see what happens at the next meeting.
This is.
I think what he's getting at is you cannot be selective, and I'm not saying that they haven't done anything.
We're not.
I'm just saying, okay? And how far has Gary gone?
He's gone all the steps and it's in the attorney's hands right now. And it's a matter of, do we go to court or not? So is it worth it? What I started to say was, is it gonna make any difference? I'm not saying whether we are or aren't, because I'm not the attorney, but if we're in the process right now of doing these things, following the law, asking the attorney what to do, the attorney's in communication with their attorney, we're doing everything we can do. And by the time we get it all fought out, they're gonna take it out in October anyway, so.
And then they'll probably take that.
And they're DTE, they don't care what we think, we have to go through the process. In the
Understood,
courts.
It is, it's very frustrating.
It's very
It's not,
frustrating
but
for
it's-
all of us.
It's not fair to the landowner that gets a ticket and then you pursue. Okay?
We are pursuing it with the landowner, every violation letter goes to the landowner. It does not go to DTE, it goes to the landowner.
Okay, now Gary's talking.
Every month that they don't comply, do they get interest or?
We have laws and laws that govern how we fine people. We can't charge interest or anything else.
There's violations?
There's violation schedules and it's all very specifically governed and we're following it. We can't just do whatever we want because like you can go to your neighbor and yell at him. We can't do that. We have to follow the law.
Oh, no, I don't yell at my neighbors.
I'm not saying you do, I'm just saying I can go tell my neighbor to keep their dog off my lawn or pick up the poop. We could do that, but we can't make them do it. We have to follow the law and the way it's set up.
This is something simpler. I just want to know, have you got any updates about our overlay and where does that sit right now? Can you give us a little information about our overlay? Has the planning commission been in touch with you or?
Other than what was brought up at the last planning commission meeting?
That's it? Nothing else?
Not to my knowledge.
Nothing happens outside of a meeting.
You'd have to address that to the planning commission. That's-
Yeah.
The
Well, I
board's
thought
not
that the
involved in
planning
this.
commission took it to you and then I thought that. the
Well,
board
once the
shared
public,
something.
once the public hearing's held, then it goes to the county and comes back for approval by the board.
Okay, so there's another level there that they have to channel, that they have to go through.
Right, the public hearing is scheduled for next month at the planning commission level. There may be some amendments at that time, there may not be, I don't know. But as far as I know,
Is
that'll.
it June meeting?
Correct, June 12th.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? Entertain a motion to
I
adjourn?
make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Schedule that meeting for tomorrow.
No, what?
Do you want the food then?
I said it's a good thing we didn't schedule the meeting for tomorrow, because it's after